Hello all, welcome to my channel Mademoiselle Pi. Today we will see one of the built-in data types in Python, that is list. A Python list is an ordered and changeable collection of data objects. Unlike an array, which can contain objects of a single type, a list can contain a mixture of objects. For example, we can store a character or an integer or a float data type in a list, which is not possible in an array. Let's have a look into the example. In the given example, I'm creating a list called as classic list. As you can see with the syntax, a list can be created with a square bracket. In the next statement, I'm creating the elements using the range function. Range function in Python is a function that generates a sequence of numbers starting by 0 by default, increments by 1, and stops before the specified number. And then in the next statement, I'm appending those generated elements into the list. Let's print the list. Here in this exam output, you will see that the list is being generated of 10 elements starting from 0 ending at 9. Well, the three actions that you are performing in this example, what if I told you that you don't need 3 lines of code and this same actions can be performed in a single line of code? Yes, you heard it correctly. Let's see how we can do that. In the next example, I am creating a list result where I'm going through the for loop using the same range function to generate the sequence of number, and then I'm appending the elements which will be multiplied by 2. Here in the output you will see that the elements have been generated and each element that was generated by the range function is been multiplied by 2. In the next example, I am creating another list which will contain only the odd numbers. I have used the for loop which will loop through the elements that will be generated by using the range function, and then I have a if clause where I'm going to check whether the element generated by the range function is odd or not. In the output you will see that we have generated the 5 elements which are odd numbers. And in the last example you will see that I have a list called as result complex. In this list we have 3 actions that we are performing. The first one is the for loop that we will use in order to loop through the elements of the range function. The second action is to append the list of even numbers and multiply it by 2. And the third action is that if the result of the if statement is false, it will eventually come to the else part. That means that it will multiply the odd numbers by 5, and the list result complex will contain the even numbers multiplied by 2 and the odd numbers multiplied by 5. The last line of the output explains that the list contains the elements of odd as well as even numbers multiplied by the respective number. One important note to take away from this example is that when you have only if statement in your expression, the if statement is always written after the for loop. However, if you have if and else both in your program, the if and else is always written before the for loop. That is a syntax important to remember. I hope that this video will help you to use the list in your projects. The key usage is you can use the list to store collections of data, and you can also use it when you want to store multiple items in a single variable. If you want to learn more about the various characteristics of list, you can go through the Python documentation. I have put the link in the description box. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the content, hit the like button and do subscribe to stay tuned for new videos about Python.